Yo,
And
wait,
just,
am I on the stream with you guys?
do you want to be?
It's up to you guys. Whatever you, if you want me aboard or if you want to take it slow.
I mean, I don't think you should push yourself to be on here. I think we'll be fine.
How are you feeling, Joey? Alrighty.
Yeah, and Yahiko, it is a game. I was actually a little surprised by that too.
Yes, indeed. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Evening Coffee Talk with Cerulean Skies. My current streamer name. Leave it to Yahiko to freaking save us every second.
Hello, Guaves. Welcome.
Guaves, my man. What's good? Where am I? There we go. Nope. There we go. Yeah, there we go. All right. This game has an annoying thing where if you click out of it, the music stops and stuff like that. But hi, hello. A little bit of a scuff introduction, but welcome once again to Coffee Talk with myself, Rio, and Joey. Yes, it's actually a VN, and it is one very calming VN. Essentially, what I have planned for this evening is we will just go through the VN. I have a couple of questions that I'll be asking Joey and Rio just so we can keep some conversation going. The VN will be going in the background, and so feel free chat to also ask any questions you might have. It can be related to anything, but I'm thinking we can keep this one a little bit more low-key and talk about life things, real life things, or just anything that's on people's minds. Just have a nice relaxing time. So I'll start the game and we can start conversing.
I really wanted to drink coffee with this, but in my state of GI distress, I don't.
Yeah, don't Unfortunately, the shop that I wanted to go to was closed, so I couldn't actually get coffee today, which is unfortunate.
We're posers, all of us.
Hey, I'm not posing at anything. I just don't drink coffee. And even if I did, 9:40 at night is not the time I would generally go for it.
If you guys need some knowledge dropped on you, I did work as a barista in boutique coffee shops for like 2 years, and I'm barista certified. So I'm here to mansplain anything that you may or may not want to be mansplained.
Funny enough, I also worked as a barista during university for 2 years.
There you go. It's always 2 years, bro. It's either 2 or 400.
Something like that.
Now I feel out of place in that respect as well.
So the thing is, university, you always gotta get some part-time thing going.
I really tried, but all the jobs went to work study people first, and I didn't have work study.
Oh, so
I
recall that.
I really struggled to find anything in college.
Did you try looking off campus? Because that, anything like around your university area and stuff like that?
I didn't particularly pursue that. I felt it would have... I was captain of the Ultimate Frisbee team and doing a cappella and classes and all that, and so I think an off-campus one, it would have been more difficult. Hello, kitty. More difficult to just manage all of that, and I'm not sure my bosses off-campus would be as understanding as people on campus.
That's totally fair, yeah. Before I continue with my next question, chat, how are we doing on audio? How do I sound? How does Joey sound? How does Rio sound? How does the game sound? Let me know what I can tweak.
Test for me.
Yeah, I know work study really made it so that a lot of people couldn't get, jobs and stuff like that while on campus. I think I got a bit lucky because where I worked was they had a cafe in the law building on my university, and so they were hiring. I think they were more so looking for people. I mean, they were looking for everybody, but I think they didn't mind, going outside of work study stuff and whatnot. It's funny because Guav's in chat and I worked at the same place.
Oh, cool. But yeah, now I'm actually on the other side of things now because I work at a college and I am in charge of hiring for a particular position. And so the whole work study consideration was part of it. Now I think only maybe about half of the people I hired ended up having work study. But it does, the business office specifically told me, hey, you need to give priority. You don't have to hire people who are just completely unqualified if they have work study. But if there are two both fairly qualified people, hire the one with work study.
Right. How does it feel being on the other side of things now?
It's cool. It's a new experience for me, but it's nice. Gotta. I feel like it's gonna help me with my own interviewing skills once I'm out there, because now I've been the interviewer, and so I can be like, okay, this is what impressed me when they were answering my questions. So when I move on from this position, whenever that is, I will have some ideas based on that or what to do next.
Yeah, that's actually really cool that you say that you'll have a bit of an upper edge on interviews and stuff like that, because genuinely that's a thing. Like they don't really teach that to you. I mean, there's like books and small courses you can take and stuff like that, but with interviews, you only get better the more you do. So knowing how it's like on the other side of the chair, yeah, you got a bit of a cheat code there, because now you know how the questions will be asked and just how it feels.
I just want to say that I also worked at the writing center, like for writing tutoring and just general help. So I see. Oh, that's my birthday, September 22nd.
Hey.
Oh, shit. Golden, could I ask a small favor of you?
Yeah, absolutely.
If you can you stream the gameplay in the Discord so we're not at like a delay?
Yeah, it would be nice.
If you can't, it's not a big deal, but
no,
if you
absolutely.
wanted like us to read dialogue or something, it might be a little easier.
No, it probably also would help that you guys are also on the same place as I am. Joey seems a bit quiet. Yep, I can raise him up, no problem.
Oh, that's a first.
Yeah, I'm really interested in reading for this golden character.
They they ask you when you start this game up, like, what do you want your barista name to be? And I said, go golden. Yeah, why not?
2 years. That's the name.
2 years. The classic barista experience.
2 years, but it's actually one of the people who's been there forever.
Golden has its own game. I know, right? Finally. All right, Joey, say some stuff, and we'll see how chat feels. How you feel?
Test. Yes, test is louder, quieter, standing back. This is my more ASMR voice. I hope that's okay.
Perfect. Looked good on my end, so we'll see what they think.
How you feeling about this electrical piano?
I love the soundtrack of this game. It is so good. That was the one thing I hated about my cafe, is that we didn't really play music because it was a law building, so we couldn't really do a whole lot. But the times that they would play music would just be like, generic bar, generic pop music and stuff like that.
Oh, I have an anecdote off of this. So, a couple days ago, I was out at a restaurant in town, an Asian restaurant, and just as we were about to pay the check there, a song comes on that they're playing over the speakers that I immediately recognize. And I don't think I ever expected to hear the whereabouts of lights Trails in the Sky second chapter
Whoa,
version
Hello?
in a restaurant.
What?
Yeah. I was so surprised. And of course had to explain to my people I was eating with why I immediately was like, whoa, I know this song.
So it just randomly showed up?
Yeah, it's not as though, as far as I know, none of the music they were playing before was video game music, and definitely not Falcom Trails music. It's just this one song that they started playing just as we were finishing up.
I have a theory about that.
Go for it.
Okay, so whoever owned the phone or device or whatever that was like playing the music had that in their queue and just like didn't clear it or something, and then like when the playlist that they were listening to ended, it went into that, so they were exposed. That's just my theory though.
Yeah, and that is all we will ever know on it, because I did not go and inquire with the staff.
Speculation on the Trails song.
There could be a secret Falcom fan at your place and you wouldn't even know.
Yeah, it is unfortunate. I have never convinced any of my real life, or not any of my in-person family or friends to play any Falcom games. That's the whole thing about I founded my channel so I could at least convince some people to play the games that I wanted them to play, because I had no success with friends and family.
Been trying to get my girlfriend to start Trails. I just don't know what the right place is.
I've heard good things about Cold Steel 3 as a starting place.
I would pick one.
Yeah, I feel like the best. I mean, that's a loaded subject, right? It depends on what you have access to versus what you want to do.
Yeah.
But I think like the start of most of the arcs is pretty decent.
I've thought in the past about making a tier ranking of Trails games to start from in there. And you start from Trails in the Sky first chapter as S tier, and then like F tier is Cold Steel 4.
Yeah, don't start with that one.
Yeah, I feel like I haven't played Hajimari or Reverie yet, but I feel like that's probably better than Cold Steel 4 to start with.
Is it? I wouldn't be sure on that. It does introduce new characters, but as far as I know, again, not having played it, there are 3 different pathways, and 2 of them are Reen and Lloyd's.
Yes.
So you spend about 2/3 of the game with those casts.
Oh yeah, true.
That is correct, and it's meant to essentially be the halfway point in the Trails series, so better to have everything else under your belt.
I've heard it compared to Trails in the Sky the Third,
Yeah.
which is absolutely not a game people should start with.
Oh yeah, that's one of the worst ones, I would say. Oh, Golden, did you want us to read dialogue, or like do you have any vision for how to
If we
approach
have
the
nothing
game?
to converse about, we can absolutely pay attention to the game. But if, the conversation's going and things are chill, let's keep conversing.
I don't know anything about this game, so
Yeah, essentially, if anyone has ever heard of Valhalla, right, where you basically are in that like cyberpunk, it's very. I don't know if it's the same devs, but I know it's a very similar concept where you are a barista in this world where it's not just humans; it's kind of like humans and half humans and other
I saw
forms of people.
a line about orcs.
Yes,
that came up in a scene there, but yeah. I've actually seen some footage of it. I didn't connect dots there, but I think I've seen in other people's videos talking about this game.
Yeah. So one of my questions I had, because I know, Rio, you mentioned it earlier, you said you were not a coffee person. So I wonder, are you a tea person? Are you just juices and waters? Like, what's your drink of choice?
So in college, when the whole drink selection kind of opened up for me, because they had soda in the dining hall and all that, unlike my previous school, I kind of did engage in all of that my freshman year, and I didn't feel good on that. I don't think it was a freshman 15 situation, but I definitely wasn't feeling my best, and I decided that I could do something about it, so I switched to basically just water. The only exceptions that I have is apple cider, both cold and hot.
Ooh.
Yeah,
Okay.
I love apple cider. It's great. But even before then, I never really cared for coffee. I found it too bitter, although I actually am a big fan of coffee ice cream, so it really is about the bitterness. because yeah, give me sweet coffee flavor and I'm good. But I don't necessarily want to have that with actual drinking coffee, because to get that you need to put in a lot of sugar, and yeah, I'm not sure I want that with my drinks, as opposed to the ice cream, which, it's a dessert. I know what I'm getting into.
Right.
Have you had like actual espresso, like prepared well and right?
No, I cannot
That's the
say I
thing.
have. Yeah.
That is the changer, I think, for a lot of people. I mean, okay, granted, I would never force coffee on somebody who's like, oh, I abjectly hate it. It's like whenever I talk about how I hate sweet potatoes, there's always that comment that's like, bro, you just haven't tried the right ones. Like, raw tomatoes are the same way. I'm like, no,
When
I
has
hate raw
that
tomatoes
ever-
because of texture.
Oh,
It's never
yeah.
worked.
When has but you've never tried the right one worked?
Never.
As an argument.
Actually, I have to say, like, I didn't realize how roundabout this is, but I hated coffee until I tried, like, actual coffee. Because to me, it was sort of like a means to an end, like a vessel for caffeine, and that's it, right? I always sort of thought that's what it is. But when I started to appreciate it a little bit more, and I worked in it, because I got a job at a coffee shop, and it was like not a really upscale one, or not really like a one where they knew that they were doing. It was like around Starbucks level, and even that like kind of opened me up a little bit to the concept, and I just branched out from there and started taking my own approach to it. But like, yeah, I used to abjectly hate it.
Yeah.
Like I would drink it and be like, yeah, and the only time I could drink it is if it had like 8 grams of sugar in it, right? Yeah, I don't know. Like then I think espresso was the gateway to me, because I was like, oh, okay, there's a lot to consider here. It's like a fine wine in a way, right? It's like the same kind of thing. It's like it's aromatic. It's like,
Well, I abjectly hate the taste of alcohol, so that's an out one for me as well.
oh, I mean more so like the experience, not like
Yeah.
like the because you can hate alcohol, but like, or liquor, but it's like you can't deny that like there's a science to it, right?
Conversely, if
absolutely.
you get to the point where you enjoy the taste of liquor itself, that's probably when you have a problem. Unlike espresso, which you could kind of grow into it, or hey, yeah, if you have the right type of bean or you have the right roast, to be like, yeah, you know what, that's pretty good. With alcohol, probably not the way to go to. Yeah, and that's the thing. I think coffee is one of those things where, at least in the United States, again, I'm not sure how it is in Canada and other places and stuff like that, but Starbucks does a horrible job. Dunkin' Donuts just does a horrible job of actually introducing people to good coffee. It's when you go and actually, because I saw this question that Shu asked, because like I don't really know how to get a better version sometimes. It really is just finding local places and stuff like that, there is always somebody somewhere who's an expert in something,
Yes.
and they'll tell you the place. You know, it might be a little bit out of the way, it might be like an extra like $2 or $3, but they sometimes usually I don't mean to say sometimes, they generally mean from a good place that, like, yeah, if this place is selling coffee for like, you know, $8 for 16 ounces or something like that, it's probably going to be pretty good.
I'll say this much: I could find a good coffee place near you. I'm not saying you particularly give me your zip code, but I have always been able to just be able to parse about like what a good place is, or maybe
I definitely believe that. I would be heavily surprised if there was not a good coffee place in the town that I live in. It is too bougie a location for that not to be the case.
Give me your address, thank you.
Yep.
Yeah, no, I feel that. Like, I mean, it's one of those things. It's like, how much effort do you really want to put into experiencing something that does have depth, but you might not actually like fully be on board with, right? Like, I know like a lot of people, like, wine is a really good example, right? Like,
Yeah.
my girlfriend like kind of hates wine, but like she can appreciate a good wine. She's not gonna make the effort to like be like understand like how tannins interact with fruit, right? Like, you know, it's something that it's like casual appreciation, and I don't mean that like in a pejorative way, but I always feel like I have to make that distinction when I drop the word casual in a gamer.
Yeah, especially in the gamer space. That's exactly what I was gonna say. But I want to kind of go back to something that you said, Joey, about the caffeine, because that's actually another thing for me. Is one of the reasons I still am leery on coffee and tea is I don't want caffeine dependence, and I know there are decaf versions in there, but I'm not invested enough to go that path, and I find that and this is anecdote. This is personal experience, not an actual experiment or anything. But I do find that I tend to be a lot more alert in the mornings than most of my coworkers who are.
Yeah, because you're not dependent on it.
Yeah, and I'm okay with keeping it that way.
That's good.
No,
That is good.
I feel that.
Yeah.
Like I mean, and it is very easy to get addicted to caffeine. I mean, this is why I try, you know, if I would say I probably drink coffee like 60% of days, but if I don't drink coffee, it's fine, because I take it in moderation, right? Like, I'll have like 3 days a week where I just don't drink any caffeine, and just for that exact reason, so I'm not constantly reliant on it. And I think that is important. Like, even though caffeine is like very low grade, it's still a psychoactive drug, and it's still something that's like very socially acceptable to be addicted to, right? Like, you know, there's memes about it, like, and whatever. It's like, don't talk to me until I have my coffee, you know? And it's like in a socially acceptable way to be, and I don't think that there's anything wrong with like trying to avoid that dependence, right? Like, even at the behest of like appreciation or whatever, right? So I get it.
Yeah, and I grew up in a family that has a lot of coffee drinking, and so I saw directly some of the issues that could come from dependency. Not anything major in that, but you know, just one member of my family goes without coffee for 2 days and they've got a headache in there, and it's like,
Yeah, caffeine.
do I really want that?
Yeah, I mean, it's possible to drink coffee without getting it.
Yes,
I think
yeah, and plenty of people have shown that. Yeah.
It's funny because this conversation falls on a spectrum, and I think this is a really important distinction. Maybe this is getting a little bit like social, political, or like cultural, but you can stop me if you want. But I think it's like it's on the same spectrum that any kind of drug or anything that helps, anything psychoactive, right? Like, I think on one hand, people should always be open to those experiences, or like open to the concept of it. Like, I think if you built If you build too rigid walls around your own personal experience, then I feel like it's harder to break out and to see through them. This sounds like some like Huxley shit, and it sounds like I smoke weed all day and do like psychedelics, but I don't. But even still, like I respect that concept of like experimentation or how it exists on the human brain cognitively. And I think that it always helps to be open about experiences, even if it's like I get it. It's like yeah, you don't want to get addicted to this thing, even if it's like low grade or if it's not a big deal. But if it's something that you've never really messed with, like yeah, maybe it's worth at least trying. Like you seem like a strong-willed person, right? And I'm not trying to sell you on the cult of coffee, but it
Joey's
is
pushing
like,
coffee on me.
right, but it is like any kind of moderation is always down to pragmatism. It always comes down to that aspect, and I think that applies across the board to any kind of psychoactive drug or any kind of substance, right? Or even behavior, anything that's addictive in any sort of way, anything that's addictive that can be supplemental to something else, whether it be like even exercise, right? Like that's another, that's that's chemical too. I just think I think it's an interesting discussion because it's like where people's boundaries are is it always kind of fascinates me because I'm a very like boundary person, right? And I like exploring that, seeing the overlap.
It's funny. I was having this conversation at dinner with my parents about, we were talking about my cousins and them, probably not going to go off like out of state to university and stuff like that. And I was like, yeah, I mean, realistically, it's something that a lot of people, it's uncomfortable, but it's a good uncomfortable to get out of that zone and like actually try and try something crazy. Like I was terrified walking into my university. I had never really been out of state. I had been going to a city that I had really never been to. I didn't really know anybody even there. None of my close high school mates actually came along with me to the university that I went to and stuff like that. But and my parents were terrified too. They had that boundary, like, we want our child to be home with us and that sort of stuff. But once that line was stepped over and we were, I was able to kind of like grow and meld based on my surroundings and stuff like that. And I started trying out a lot of things. Life, I think, just ended up feeling a lot more, it's a bit cliche to say, but it, seemed a lot more colorful. It seemed a lot more just like, whoa, there's a lot that I had no idea about and I want to know more about. It's tricky.
I feel
and I agree, Joey. It's very tricky to get past those, boundaries and get past those lines. But I mentioned this on Yahiko stream too. Whenever university talks comes up, because I've had a generally positive experience with university, compared to a lot of people, is that you really just gotta find your gang. You really just gotta find your community, and once you do, you will feel a lot safer in trying things than if you had gone about things alone.
I want to answer that with like a boomer photo of like a wolf. It's saying like, I'm a lone wolf. It's like a shitty shirt or meme.
Yeah.
Well, Golden, you and I were talking about this a little bit before about weed on Yahiko's stream, or just THC in general, right? Like for me personally, I can't do it because I hate seeing my locus of control be sort of arrested, right?
Yep.
And I think in a way that's my cross to bear, but at the same time I could definitely be more open to that if I really made a more concerted effort. But like at the same time, it's like, where is the reward, right? Like I'm still gonna be high anxiety while high. It just, I might be able to cope with it better. I have a friend who he was actually there when I had like a legit panic attack while smoking, right? And he was like, oh yeah, I get like that too. I just like kind of learn how to deal with it. And I'm like, why? That's so much work for what is the payoff, right? Like, what is the payoff? I don't know.
Again, maybe unsurprisingly, but I have been there for those. It is not uncommon for panic attacks to come up, especially from people who are smoking for the first time there. And yeah, I think that's a prudent decision on your part, and I think that teaching people to just think about how they're reacting to that stuff is important. But conversations around drugs are so stigmatized. It's really difficult for people, especially younger people, to feel comfortable bringing that conversation up, unless it's with their peers who may not have the experience or the knowledge to help them through it.
Yep, and it really all just circles back to just having that support system. In some cases, it could be your family. Like in Europe, people can drink as young as like 13, 14 years old, so they're grown up on, proper alcohol control and stuff like that. Maybe it's your group of high school buds, maybe it's a group of college buds, or even if it's not even IRL. We're all connected here through a live stream right now. Maybe it's this community that we're building up. Maybe it's your friends on Discord on some server that you found, or some GameFAQs forum. I mean, you hear the memes about it now, but there's definitely some truth to it. The ye old Xbox 360 party lobbies on Halo 3 and Halo Reach. My man XX Gamer Elite, who has not logged in the last 12 years, like there was genuinely like a good friendship there and stuff like that. And it's those social relationships that really help us get through and like just try these things out. Also, for some reason, I want to tie back to both what you guys said about having panic attacks when doing that sort of stuff. I am still low-key surprised. I did not have a panic attack when I did that for the first time. Maybe because I was on my couch and everything was very comfortable, but at the same time, like very surprised given how common it is.
Yeah, I was too. That's what's weird about it, and it's each time that I've had it, the same kind of experience, different methods and different venues, right? Like, it's each time it's pretty much the same thing. And I'm sure there's probably some like self-fulfilling bit there. I think there always is when there's a reaction that strong. But like, yeah, still, it's interesting. Man, so you bring up a good point about like, I guess, social circles and orbiting around things, right? It's interesting that those things are so connected, because I feel like, Discord especially is a very, parasocial, or what's the word? Not medium. Platform, yeah. Thank you. And it's weird because it's like, I feel like the big, and I'm shifting gears a little here, but I feel like the big platforms for social connection always happen in sort of a transitory way, right? Like, you mentioned Xbox 360 lobbies, right? That was at like the advent of online console gaming, pretty much, or like when it became really mainstream or like accessible. And then my example that I always give is like WoW, because like WoW to me, World of Warcraft, sorry, was always like a huge.
No, yeah.
I'm just saying WoW.
We just thought you just exclaimed in the middle of the sentence.
Which, that's not far from the course, but yeah, no, I mean, stuff like this, it's like there's always that platforms, especially on the internet, always have this like really interesting historical context to them. And I think I'll tie it to this stream. I don't think there's a lot of people out there joining a Discord call with their friends and playing coffee talk and having this conversation. Not that I'm saying that we're pioneers or like whatever, but it's just, I feel like that's sort of what discourse will slowly start to transform into, more so as we get more and more acquainted with like the whole Twitch culture, the whole Discord culture, and all that kind of stuff. So either way, all I'm really saying is that we're hipsters and we did it first.
It's appropriate that we're doing that talk in a coffee shop.
Yeah.
It all comes together, and yeah, he actually said that humans are social creatures. It's so interesting that, like, inherently, I think now maybe, I don't know if it's a pandemic thing or just something that maybe I'm noticing more and stuff like that. But a lot of ever since the age of smartphones and stuff like that, it almost feels like a lot of people are becoming more and more introverted and stuff like that. Yet there's always this desire underneath to really be like, yeah, you know what, I want to hang out with people and stuff like that. I want to be with people. But mentally, right, our social batteries are just so fried from just life and stuff like that, where it's just like, yeah, I want to go do things, but I can't. And so that's one of the most amazing things that I found when I first got into Discord when I was like a freshman in university. It's just like, wait, I can talk to people like all over the world and I don't really need to go outside. Huh.
Yep.
That's pretty darn great. I'm still gonna go outside. I did plenty of things outside, and what would be deemed as normie extroversion crap. But at the same time, there was something like Discord in and of itself, I will say, got me through university. Just being on voice chats on random servers until like 3-4 in the morning while I'm just struggling with my psychology homework or my computer science coding assignments, being like, oh my god, the world is absolute shit. I hate this. And yet there's someone on the other side of the world being like, yeah, that's cool and all, but like, did you see this one episode of anime? Yes, actually I have. I'll happily talk about that with you.
It's interesting too, because I think, what we're touching on here too is sort of what VR chat is trying to do. In a way, it's trying to bring this kind of conversation, this kind of thing to everybody. I just feel like it's like so wrapped up in its own dystopia that I don't really want it to catch on, so I'm gonna doom it.
I am okay with the voices and not the uncanny valley faces.
Yeah, I feel that way too, and I also just kind of hate VR. We were talking about this last stream. We're just like a little bit far. Maybe in 5-6 years I'll reconvene and think about how I feel about it, but until then, that's my take. And Yaiko asks, tell us about forums, cultural, social aspects of forums back in the day.
Oh, forums. Oh, boy.
Yeah, man. Because Golden, you're a little bit younger. I think you and Rio are around the same age, but I'm a little older than you guys.
It sounds like it.
And
I was at the tail end of forums, yeah.
Yeah, so I was in the middle section, right? Because like, let's see, I got a computer, my own computer around 2000. So I was like 12, and I remember discovering game facts or game FAQs, depending on what you call it. I just call it facts because I think it's funny. But yeah, I remember I actually met one of my really good friends on there, and the whole concept of forums back then was sort of what Discord does now, right? Like, just think of it like a little bit more. The pacing of it was different because it wasn't IMs or instant messaging, which was like a thing that I think of it this way. Like, messages, they took a little while to send because connections were slow, and instant messaging didn't have as big of a widespread like install base. Like, there was like AIM and MSN and stuff, but like those were a little bit more niche compared to like just going on a web page, because like the web page came first and then the IMs came later, right? So it's like it's an interesting historical line. But I do remember this, like the whole Discord vibe was basically what forums tried to do, I guess. It just at a much slower pace. But along with that, you get a lot of I guess sort of clickiness, right? Because you get like your messages were more curated. It was more like sending mail back and forth than it was being able to have a conversation like this. So I feel like it was still alienating to people because of that, even though there was more anonymity back then than there is now, right? So I feel like that's sort of like what VR chat almost kind of tries to push it, like the last vestige of anonymity. Because it's like, so, I mean, I could click on Rio's profile on Discord, right? And he might have a link there. Maybe he doesn't know he has a link there. But, there's a lot of things, a lot of information that you can discern from somebody and instantly find out who they are and what they like. And not that I'm doxing you, Rio. There's nothing to dox. But, like, it's much easier.
I do have one link.
Yeah, green tea does have caffeine. What are you talking about?
This guy
Also,
can know.
decaf does too. Decaf, not a lot, but decaf has about as much caffeine as green tea. I don't think a lot of people realize that, because all decaf is it's a bean, a coffee bean that has been roasted at super high temps, so a lot of the caffeine is burned off or evaporated.
I did not know that.
Yep. Never thought I'd be casually chatting with peeps on Discord, but this week can change that. Hey, it is one of those great platforms when used correctly can truly bring people together.
And it helps that Joey has done a great job of bringing a bunch of people together who are really enthusiastic about this, and has helped us go through any of the numerous difficulties that have happened there. So definitely shout out to you, man.
Although in Joey's
Thank you.
unfortunate case, I feel like he had the most difficulties out of all of us.
Yeah, I mean,
Yes.
that's by design. I have the ability. It's the King Midas in reverse thing. Everything I touch just kind of turns to poop sometimes. Like I can get hardware or software issues just by looking at something. Actually, I know one person worse than that, and it's John from Super RPG Friends. This man works for Microsoft, and he gets more blue screens than anyone I've ever met.
Oh, good
It's
lord.
so wild to me. So, yeah, I'll take the compliment this time. Thank you, Rio.
You're welcome.
Speaking of, that's a good segue into my next question that I had, is we're all content creators here in some way, shape, or form, so let's go around and say, why? Why do you make content? What do you get out of it? What got you into making content, stuff like that? Anybody can start. I mean, I can start too. I don't think I've answered a question.
Yeah, you start because I feel like Rio's the most, like, I guess when you think of the word content creator, he's the one who I think like it fits that a little bit the most because of YouTube videos in general. Maybe that's just my impression of it, but like, yeah, I was also hoping he would actually.
I mean, Golden can certainly start, but yeah, I do definitely think there is a distinction, and I know we all fall under the umbrella of content creation, but the way that I create and do stuff is very different from streaming in that, and bridging that gap coming over to this, I feel like I can definitely join in and be able to do this, but this is partially because I'm going off of y'all. I'm not sure how I would do just on my own for several hours trying to entertain and play through there without a script. But it's a very different set of skills, I think.
Oh yeah, like it's a thing. It's like a skill tree, or like maybe you're just skill allocation by birth.
Yeah.
Or something. Like you know, there's everybody gets their free points, but like I think there definitely people do have preferences. Golden, what about you though, man? I'm really curious as to your answer to that.
I think I always wanted to create content ever since YouTube became a thing, and watching some super old Let's Players like Nintendo Capri Sun, Nakatili, and stuff like that. And I'm seeing like these games that they play, and I'm like, I play games, and they're just like commentating over this, and that just really fascinated me. And there was a point in time where I actually almost did start creating Let's Plays back in like 2010 or something like that on my Windows Vista laptop and all that. But I never really came around to it, and I got busy with high school and stuff like that. And then university came, junior year came. It's funny because in a month and 5 days will be my 5-year anniversary of just making content in general, which is really crazy to think about. I had a microphone. I was messing around with some emulators because I really wanted to play some old games that I played as a child, now that I had a better laptop and stuff like that. And I was like, I've always said I wanted to make content, so why not record a Let's Play and see how it goes? And so I did Rakuin, and I did Pinot B, and I did Custom Robo. As Pinot B and Rakuin was kind of like my how do I even do this sort of thing? What is OBS? What is Audacity? How do I even do this sort of stuff? Pinot B and Custom Robo were pretty much the idea that these games aren't known, and I think they should be known. And that's pretty much why I did those Let's Plays. And it just grew into this fact that I was always told that I have a very unique way of, being funny in terms of comedy and stuff like that. I'm generally known as someone who is really quick with witty remarks and just has almost smart commentary when it comes to comedy. Like, I'm not just constantly swearing, I'm not constantly making sex jokes and stuff like that. Like, some of the stuff that I say, that's funny usually is like, oh wow, that was actually funny smart. And
There goes any
There it goes. Yeah. Your whole argument's gone now.
There you go. All right, never mind. I'm done. And then it came to the point where I wanted to read a VN, and I was like, how would it feel to read VNs? Because me and my roommates, we would already read VNs. We would voice stuff all the time, and I figured, what if we were to record one of these? So came Clawnod, and I started getting compliments from people and just in different places being like, yeah, you got a really good way of reading and stuff like that. And it just kind of stuck. And really what cemented it for me was when me and my friends in high school and university, whenever we would just hang out together on the couch or in the basement and just play video games, and that vibe that we had going, that is something that I really, really strive to capture with content. Is I'm not always going to be the most skillful. I'm not always going to be the smartest in the room. I may sometimes have 30 minutes of dead air. But if that vibe of just we're just in a room together on a couch hanging out and stuff like that can be achieved, if people want to listen to my stuff while driving or, falling asleep, great. If people want to see it as an actual walkthrough to an actual game, great. It's open forum, it's open chill and stuff like that. And so that really is what still motivates me even to this day with content. Is just somebody somewhere out there, much like with this idea that I had. I know Guav said he was driving while he was listening to this. Somebody somewhere is listening to this and enjoying themselves. That's really what I aim for to make content with.
And I want to gas you up a little too, because I think you and Solstice are really good at this, but being able to sort of synthesize a lot of complex information, or just scattered information that often I am the contributor of, and be able to synthesize that information or whatever, and just make it clear and concise and just easily understandable and conveyable, I think is a talent that I think everybody who interacts with your streams or your content or just talks to you in general kind of picks up on. And I think that is conveyed through this. Hopefully this kind of stream also does that, right? And hopefully this group of people in our time in 2022 helps with that.
Absolutely.
So yeah,
Very cool.
I don't know if I consider myself at all somebody who's into content creation, but I when you guys were talking about this, I realized something. So when I was a kid, I used to record. So the way that I would hook up my Super Nintendo, and a lot of people did this, I'm sure, is the VCR connected to the TV, and then the VCR had VGA or RCA cables, and so the Super Nintendo would usually go in there, and through that I would be able to actually record on a VCR, so I could record gameplay and whatever. And I remember having a little one of those Home Alone tape recorder things, and recording myself talk about what I was playing, and record myself on the Super Nintendo and try to cue them up. And I was like, Jesus, that's probably eight or so. And I don't know. I remember when YouTube came out and I saw Let's Plays and I saw stuff like Angry Video Game Nerd, who was basically, being critical about stuff in a funny and entertaining way, or maybe funny is subjective, but in a way that's meant to entertain, in a way that's also meant to convey some kind of personal or critical thought. I was like, oh, maybe I want to do that too. I've always kind of been that person. I have a lot of things to say about things, I guess. That's a really good statement. I have a lot of things that I want to say. I just don't know how to always articulate them. And I think to me, it's easier just to take the colonoscopy prep kit of content creation and just like let it all flow out, I guess. I don't know. I like just talking to people. I like hearing what people say. That's why I don't like doing solo stuff, right? Because it's just boring. Nobody wants to hear a dude talk, even if they're super, I don't know, like well versed on something. I always feel sort of like insecure about that. I don't know. I never like really tried to make actual YouTube content because I would get too in the weeds about it. I would like. That's why I respect Rio too, because this man makes that. That's like that's his John, right? Like, and I don't know if I can do that without getting distracted or discouraged or just in general, I don't know, like just caught up. So there's my gas for both of you. Take it or leave it.
Why, thank you. Yeah, and I will say, and this goes into my journey, the CommRio channel is not the first time I tried my hand at video making and all that. I tried in high school. I tried early on in college with 2 different ideas. High school was more vlog style. College was part of a project I was doing intersecting specifically with the game Civilization and the history that it is using in there, the historical part of the game. And what ended up happening with both of them is I got going, I was putting stuff out, doing there, and then something would go wrong. And when something went wrong, instead of continuing on, I kind of gave up on that. And at least for the first one, it was what went wrong was I just was running out of ideas and didn't feel like I was getting anywhere. And the second time, what went wrong is my hard drive broke and I lost everything.
Oh, that's
so yeah, that one of those I feel like I understand a little bit about why that halted my momentum. So then,
yeah. No, go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Yeah. So the third time with CommRio, what actually transitioned into this is are either of you familiar with the app Amino?
Oh yes, I've heard of it.
Yeah, so I was part of the Fire Emblem Amino community. And I got into it, and I was mostly just, looking at the art and the posts that happened there. And then I thought, maybe I should write some posts. And I did, and they were well received when I did that. So I kept going, and I thought, it definitely seems like people are interested in what I am saying or talking about with regards to my experience about games. And I feel like I'm a little limited in these typing these long text posts out on my phone. And so I decided, hey, maybe I should try videos for games again. And you said, Golden, that you had a microphone. I did not. And this is something, I mean, those videos are still up on my channel. You can still find the videos that I recorded the audio for with the voice record app on your phone.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
That is what it is for I don't know how many of my first few videos. But here's the thing, I was having fun. I wasn't getting views or anything big like that, but I was having fun, and I had what my goal was, which was I want to talk about games, and I want to talk about games that I like and that I want to, gas up, as Joie would say. And I was doing exactly that, and I felt good about it, and I ended up getting a mic, and I kept going, and over time I started getting the audience that was responding to what I was doing, and that just reinforced what I've been doing. And sometimes I do need to take a step back and be like, okay, am I still feeling this? Am I still feeling like I'm doing what I originally set out to do? And the answer has been yes each time, so I keep going in that. But it took some failures and that I learned from before I could get to the point that I am at now. And as much as I'm not going to go back and listen to a lot of those videos, apart from when I did subtitles for some of them, because the audio quality, I'm still proud of the work that I did there, because I know that with the steps that Past Rio made is the only reason that I am here right now with chance there, and not being discouraged by other things, because I could have stopped at a point and said, I don't have the equipment for this, I'm not polished enough to be putting out content. Because that's the thing, there are people out there who are creating content who are going to have so much more elaborate setups and have more time to put in there, and can create not necessarily better videos, but videos that achieve a level of polish that I feel like I might never get to because of the system there. But I am glad that I stuck with it, and without me doing this, there are so many people and experiences that I wouldn't have had and wouldn't have met. So I'm glad I stuck with it.
I'm really glad you mentioned that, like, yeah, past me, like, you grew because of past you. Like, that's a golden, like, if nothing else from this this session, whatever you want to call it, coffee talk. That's probably the big thing is, for all of us who definitely make or plan to make content or just do anything, if you look back on yourself and you cringe, congratulations. That means you've grown. That means you're more mature.
Now.
Yes.
It sucks to think about, but be happy about it.
Mm-hmm. So I actually saw a question in the chat there that I'm good with answering. There's a few. I'm generally proud of the stuff that I've put out. Maybe there might be one or two that I'm like, that I probably shouldn't have done that. But the ones that I particularly want to highlight, one of my more recent videos, I say more recent videos, I think it's been up for about 4 months at this point, was a video on why Trails localizations take so long.
Oh yeah.
I remember that. That one's really
that's one of the ones that I did research. I really tried to put a lot of information in there that would be helpful to people and would explain while being respectful of all that, touching on history, talking about her events, bringing a lot of stuff in, but also not making it bloated and overwhelming there. And I'm really proud of what came out of that. And fortunately, people have really responded to that one.
But I'm actually really glad that you brought up that, because that's one thing that I really want to do on this channel or this platform or whatever, because I know a lot of people who work in localization, mostly for either like Exceed or Nisa or a couple like other freelance places, and like I don't think enough people quite understand that, like the whole process, right? And it's one of those things that like it just seems so arcane to a lot of people who play these games, these what are in essence niche games, especially Trails. I mean, they're popular in among enthusiasts, but as a whole, it's still climbing up there or whatever. And I think that like that's such a good gateway. Like I've linked that video to, I think I shared it on the Ease Discord actually, when you first made it or when you first shared it, because I feel like it illuminates so much. And actually, I'm gonna link that to everybody.
Right. But yeah, that's an important one. And if you let me keep going, I'm probably going to list so many different videos on there. But my character analysis videos, I'm very proud of. I love talking with people in the comments about those, and I still get stuff for Estelle Bright, for Velvet Crow, a recent one that I did for Leah from Crosscode.
Oh,
yeah,
hey.
I've got
Oh,
that.
that's
I've got a
cool.
character analysis one for a nominally silent protagonist, and I'm very happy with how that one came out.
I know what I'm watching when I'm done with the game.
Don't watch it. It will have spoilers.
Yeah, when I'm done with the game.
Okay, good.
I will say, Rio, one thing that I went as soon as I found your channel, like on my personal account and stuff like that, I like binged the heck out of was your why you should play specific things. Like, and that was like right as I'm finishing East, and I saw like your things like why I should play East 7, why I should play East 1 2, why I should play all these. Those were just fantastic videos to watch. Very quick, very
I'm
concise.
glad on that, and again, that I became involved with the East Discord community because of, and I don't know which one of the moderators on Digital MLS linked this. You're the only one. So
Yeah, I'm the only one.
you linked to the East Origin one that I did.
Yes,
and that really started up my entire connection to the East. To Digital MLS, to the East Discord, to Joie in particular, and all that. So I'm really glad, and I do think the Why You Should Play videos are very important, even if they're kind of my bread and butter on the channel. They're the ones I do the most for scripted content, and they're fairly simple for me to put together at this point. But I do still find them important, and I really love when some of them highlight games that people are not necessarily going to have played. The E-Series has done really well on my channel for that reason. But even non-JRPG games that have gotten there. My Why You Should Play Pyre, one of Supergiant's games.
So good.
Yeah, that was done really well and had good discussions on it, and I'm really happy because not only
good discussions on a YouTube video. What the fuck?
I do have some of them. Now, granted, I do have some comments I need to ignore and sometimes have difficulty doing so, but I feel like that's a lot of creators have to deal with on occasion. And as much as I will say 98% of the stuff on my localization video is good, there is still that 2%.
Of course.
It always happens, man.
And I knew that going in because I mean my entire impetus for making that video was seeing the discussions on Twitter about it.
Well, also, that's the Falcom community in general. Like, you're gonna, dude, you can. I don't even want to. That's a rabbit hole. But I do want to slide Solstice's question to you under the table here, or across the table, and he said, I saw Why You Should Play Tales of the Abyss, and the first thing out of my mouth was, I'd like to see you try, so I might have to give it a look.
Oh, that is right. Solstice has had some bad experiences on there. As much as I certainly encourage you to watch, and I really enjoyed Tales of the Abyss. That is, after Tales of Berseria, it's my second favorite Tales game. But I'm not sure I'm going to highlight anything that wasn't an issue that I saw Solstice mention before on that. But yeah, Tales of the Abyss, it really comes down to the character development throughout that story. I think the cast is fantastic, and the way they grow over the course of the story, especially the main character, is excellent. I mean, Luke is a definite candidate for a character analysis in the future. I'm not promising anything, but he's on that list I keep mentally of who might I make a video on.
Don't mind me, it's just very difficult to make latte art in this game.
Yeah,
It was not. I can assure you, as a former barista, it is not that difficult. It is difficult, but it's not this difficult.
The true Souls-like was the coffee art minigame.
Boy, come on, something cute. No.
But again, I am very happy to have people engage on there, especially for games that haven't necessarily gotten the attention. Although for Tales of the Abyss, that's entirely on Bandai Namco, because they just refuse to bring any of the old Tales games to modern consoles. I have said numerous times they should just follow what Atelier is doing and just put them all on PC. It would do great for them.
Had the remake on 3DS.
Yeah, that's the one I played. Yeah, Hiko. But now that, and the thing is about the 3DS one is they never had a digital version, so that has reduced how much that version can spread. I had to track down a physical version to play it because, you know, I wasn't emulating.
Oh, emulation. So, let's see. Those are the main two questions I had. So, chat, I will lean a little bit on you for this one while I try to think of another one. What would you like to know about the three of us, or what would you like to just get us in a discussion to? Could be related
Don't ask
to anything.
about our addresses. We're only
Alright.
giving those to Joey for coffee shops.
If not, what's happening in this game is that this guy is an elf. He's trying to date a succubus. It's not going too well. Turns out interracial relationships, even in the monsterhood, is not exactly well deemed well. So,
But you can if you try hard enough.
You can if you try hard enough. It's tricky. I've definitely dated people outside of my ethnic race, and it is difficult. It's not impossible. Lots of people can do
Oh,
it.
what a
have had
thing to
that
jump
too.
back into.
Yeah.
It's possible. But yeah, it is genuinely very difficult. You really have to work for it.
I will say it is eye-opening as well, though, if you have that, especially for someone like me with my white privilege on that.
Yes, all the other different cultures out there, aren't there?
What did I miss?
We were
What
just
happened?
we were asking chat for topics, and I was explaining what's been happening in the game about how the guy on screen, Bailey's, he's having some struggles in his relationship with Lua, who is a succubus. He's an elf, and they're having issues in their interracial relationship and stuff like that. Yeah, he goes.
We do have, yeah.
Yeah, he goes. Vanilla question is favorite color and food and favorite ice cream. Yeah, he goes just stealing stuff from his stream elements, Bob. But that's okay.
Yeah,
those are totally valid
That's
questions.
fine. Yeah.
Surprisingly,
Actually, I get a better question.
oh yeah, go for it.
Favorite color? Why don't you guys guess what our favorite colors are? Or I mean in the chat. Sorry. No, it's not
And
clear.
while they're
all-
doing that, we could talk about the other.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Thank
try
you,
to
Ray.
guess
You're
what all our stuff is. It is, yeah. Like, I dated someone who was Caucasian, and I am Asian, and so I think it was very difficult, I think, for her, because it's like I have a culture that they were not entirely familiar with and stuff like that. And for me, it was just the fact that, like, yeah, there are just so many things that, you know, Caucasian people do that, Asian people don't. And it's like, wow, that is shockingly different than the way I do things, or like, food preferences, the way we handle situations, the way we handle our feelings and stuff like that. generally in Asian culture, I mean, it's starting to change now, but even then, you kind of, regardless of, you know, if you're a guy or a girl or, you know, in between, you don't really get a chance to do the whole feelings thing. You just gotta suck it up and be like, yeah, you know, go back to studying, go back into doing your, you know, whatever sport we've assigned you and stuff like that. Go back to doing this and stuff like that. You and your emotions are left to, you know, sink or swim on your own. Versus, you know, when I was with them, I saw that, like, yeah, there was a bit more of an open conversation that you could have with family members or just other friends and stuff like that. And I was like, wow, wouldn't that have been nice like 15 years ago?
As somebody who is in an interracial relationship, yeah, I definitely agree with that. There's a lot, but also you're forgetting the fact that Asian is in Caucasian, so I think that's very myopic of you, Golden.
Oh, whoops, my bad. I don't know.
They mean the same
my
thing.
PC terms.
Yeah, it is an example of some linguistic. I feel like stealing is not the right term, but appropriation. That's the term.
Listen, English sucks.
Well, it's like, you know, it's different. There's so many layers to that too, right? Like, I mean, I'm very much distinctly American. I grew up in Chicago. I never lived outside of here. For all intents and purposes, I'm part of that, like, melting pot that America, like, is so proud to, I guess, fucking rock, right? Like, for better or worse. And so in a lot of ways, it's a lot easier. Like, if I was like an immigrant and it was an interracial relationship, I think it'd be different, or depending on when I immigrated. So it's like there's so much about that, but like I think that there's so much tied up in regional differences that also, like, work really well, or like are that a lot of people don't consider. Food, culture, just general, like, things that you do around your house.
Yeah.
I don't know. It doesn't feel like it's ever a burden, though, and I think that's, like, if it's ever a burden, I don't, you know, that's such a weird concept to me. That's something I don't know if I could really understand, like, from personal experience.
Yeah. On another topic, unsurprisingly, yeah, chat, you got my favorite color. My favorite color is green.
You're all wrong.
Hold on, Golden. Is it pink?
No, but it is in that realm of colors, I would say.
A purple?
Purple?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
wow.
a good one. I like purple
guess-
as well.
Golden is complementary to purple. It makes sense. Well, certain
Purple and
shades,
gold
right?
is definitely a good combination.
It is.
And I say that even though my team's biggest rival in basketball has that coloring.
So you guys were wrong. Hella wrong. My favorite color is green, but it's like more of like a sea foam, or like almost. I think
Almost a
sea
teal?
foam. Yeah, teal. Like I go back and forth really, but I think sea foam is probably my favorite. Mm-hmm.
Cool.
So I just like the word cerulean. It's a cool word. It's a pretty
It
color.
is.
Chrono Cross rules. I don't know.
They're actually doing it over for Trails. It's not Trails to Azure anymore. It's Trails to Cerulean.
That's that's our take on it, actually. Maybe when it comes out, we'll stream that.
Would not have minded that. Also, total side tangent. Zombie virus from Africa may have reached Seattle. Weirdly topical. There you go. I dated.
Hold
And
on.
it was 2022. Look at that. The date's 2020.
Wow.
Huh.
Hold on. Yaiko, I'll get you a like a, what do you call it? Like a hex code that's really similar to my favorite color. Give me a second.
Going for the hex code. That's how you know he's specific.
Yeah.
That's well, it's still ballpark. I don't really know for sure, but
All right, chat. You guys can now guess ice creams because I feel like that would be at least somewhat easier than guessing favorite foods.
oh man, I don't want to think about ice cream right now. I can't eat. I'm so
Okay,
hungry.
we'll skip that one.
So
skip
should we just go
we'll skip-
off of food entirely?
We'll just skip food as a whole. We don't want Joey's stomach to implode on
I
him
wanna
before
die.
tomorrow.
Oh, it's all it's all gone now. That's why I had to get up. Sorry.
It'll be nice and
You're good. Is Freya always in the cafe?
I believe so. Yeah, she just loves it. Favorite music genre? Ooh, that'll be fun. Go ahead and guess that one.
I think I know both of yours. I don't
I've
know,
said
though.
it.
I don't
Have
think
you?
I've talked about music much online.
I definitely seeing Freya come back reminds me of my days back as a barista. I'm not a morning person at all, but I took all the morning shifts because they were honestly the best. Because you would get the regulars who were just super chill and just like, yeah, I just want my coffee, I'm good and stuff like that. But we had a couple of cool regulars. Who there was this one girl I remember. I don't know what year she was, but she couldn't have been more than a couple years older than me. But she would come in and just like Estelle ray of sunshine comes in. It's just bubbly like heck at 7:30 in the morning, and I'm just like, I don't know how you have this energy, but seeing you just like, it makes the rest of the shift go better.
Damn, Golden be simping.
I listen. Listen. Every barista does this. I bet you even Joey did it too, but he won't admit it. Every barista does this. Depending on who you are, and depending on how you act with us, your coffee may or may not be slightly better.
Yeah, okay, that's a really good topic. My thing was always like, be professional with the quality of the thing that you're making, right? So I would always do the best I could, even if the person sucks, because I think there's something like kind of, I don't know, poetic about, giving someone who fucking sucks ass like a really good drink.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, like anyone racist is getting coffee grounds, something like that, within the realm of possibility. But like, yeah, but I mean, if you're slower, you can take your time a little bit more, right? If there's somebody who you like or like you have a good conversation with, yeah, you put a little bit more effort. That's hard to deny.
Yeah.
For sure. And that's my hex code. I think that's around what it is, what my favorite color is.
Is the funny number there on purpose, or like that is legitimately the number? Yeah.
No, that's the funny number is, the funny number is just there. Wow. Again, that's ballpark. I can't really sit there and like get a good look at it. But that's approximate.
Rio is math rock and Golden is post emo. Dude, math rock slaps.
No.
All right, my guess is, okay, for Golden, it's electronic. I don't know exactly what subgenre, maybe IDM, I don't know. And Rio to me is classical.
Like actual classical music.
Yeah, like, I know
Beethoven,
that's
Vivaldi, that stuff.
Yeah, or like, because I have a bit of a spoiler. I know you like theater, so, but I don't know. For some reason, I'm not saying that's your favorite. I don't know why.
No. You are right to point away from musical theater. Though I have a theater background, it was not in musicals. Despite, theater background and a cappella background, but not mixing.
Gotcha. Golden, what about you? Was I right?
Yeah, it's electronica. The subgenre I'm really into right now is like hardcore and stuff like that, which is basically a newer genre of melodic drum and bass and melodic electronica and stuff like that. But those at least I know Joey is at least known for a while that I'm also into like indie rock, post rock. Math rock is freaking amazing. Post emo is actually somewhat close because and this surprises people, I actually did have an emo phase.
Damn. What kind of emo are you talking? You talking first wave, second, third?
Wherever
Okay,
Blink
name-
182 and MCR came in.
So that's like that's like pop emo. So that's
Yeah.
like late second wave shit.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, that's not surprising. I see that about you. That's where the barista simping falls under, right?
Yeah.
Maybe. But man, so I don't know if I have a favorite genre. I don't, but obviously like post rock, emo stuff, post hardcore, all that stuff obviously is what I listen to the most. Indie rock, I don't know. I don't know if I have a favorite. I think like for a while I was like super deep in the post rock rabbit hole. It's definitely the thing I pull the most influences from, right? Like in my own music or like what I want music to be. You know, like if I hear a track, I'm like, oh, that'd be cool if it were more posty. But yeah, I don't know. I think that's probably my best answer. I think I'm pretty obvious. I'm like, I wear too many band shirts that people see. They can probably parse that.
Yeah, as for me, I am pretty basic on this. I do enjoy pop. I am good on classic rock in a lot of senses. I do tend to go more for the mellow stuff. You're not gonna get a dance track pop with me, but yeah, I do try to reach out and have other genres stuff, so you're gonna get some indie jazz stuff like that, and you're not entirely off on classical. I do have a favorite classical composer. It's Debussy.
Oh damn.
But
That is
yeah.
a good one.
Clair de Lune is a masterwork, and no one can tell me different.
No, that is absolutely a great choice for classical musicians. Yahiko did ask, but I answered in chat. Why is that surprising that I had an emo phase? It's just because of ethnic background. Like, I tell people that I listen to like rock and stuff like that. Like, wow, really? Like Golden, you're kind of like that? It's just like, yeah, crazy enough. I like music. You know, weird.
Dude, imagine the concept of like somebody Asian or brown listening to music that's like outside of what you would expect. What a fucking wild thought that is. Wow, damn.
Yeah, going back to the interracial dating thing. So my partner was Latine and was also big into classical rock, which is not typical for someone, especially someone who grew up in Cuba.
Yeah. Luckily, I look white, so you know it's like it's easy to peg me with it, and it's not wrong. So it all evens out. I think one thing I guess I didn't mention is like just a lot of like old school hardcore and punk stuff. I think like more so like the ethics of that than a lot of the music itself, because I don't listen to a lot of like hardcore stuff anymore, or like I do, but it's like very few and far between. Like when I listen to it, it hits, but for the most part, yeah, like even stuff like Black Flag or Old Minor Threat or Earth Crisis, like I don't really listen to that anymore as like frequently anyway, but it's always got like, it's my formative years, man. I can't not. And even Blink 182 was hugely formative for me.
Yeah.
That was the first show I ever saw, was Blink 182 with Bad Religion. So technically the first band I ever saw live was Bad Religion, and I think that's kind of badass.
Oh man, my first live show.
I have still not been to an in-person concert ever.
They're fun.
Now you can go, Golden.
My first actual one was there was a local event in Milwaukee for Seven Lions, and I was like really into their music at the time. I remember getting to the venue and I found out that also Owl City was playing that day too, and I'm like,
Oh.
do I just sneak into the Owl City one, or do I stay with Seven Lions? No, I'm gonna go with Seven Lions. That was not only my first experience with like an in live concert and stuff like that, but also just the concept of how real raves go when people are just decked out on Molly and just, you know, on acid, like like All Heck Belief. I then would go to see like, you know, stuff like All Time Low and at least twice. I remember going to see, I think, Seize the Veil with somebody one time too, and that was quite a fun show.
For a long time, I used to work at a venue, or I did an internship at a venue when I was like 16, 17. So like for a solid 6 months to a year, I was going to a show like 5 days a week sometimes. And I used to just go see whatever. And now it's a hard sell for me to like want to take a chance with stuff. I kind of pretty much only see bands or artists that I'm familiar with or that I really want to see. And I think I just like being old. I don't know. Incubus for you, Soul says. I feel like Incubus is like a famous first show for a lot of people. Wait, is he making a... Oh, no, honeycomb. What?
He wanted something sweet. And sweet with no milk. I thought I would throw ginger in there to be healthy, but apparently that made it bitter, and I feel like he would not like that. Here you go, buddy.
Yeah, ginger does tend to make...
Ginger is too strong for its own good.
Yeah.
I dislike it.
It is useful in certain situations with cooking, and then obviously with stomach issues in there. I think on buses for school trips that I've been on in the past, we've had ginger drops specifically for the purpose of making people feel better over the course of the trip.
Yeah, Hiko did ask earlier what math rock is. I don't know the formal definition of it, but it is a form of rock where they try to use like abnormal patterns to their music. So they use more like polyrhythms, pentatonics, not pentatonics, but they use more like abnormal polyrhythms and stuff like that. They also do a lot of crazy things with like panning and just like really odd meter stuff to their rock and stuff like that. I don't know, Joe, you can probably fill in the blanks where I couldn't.
Dude, I felt you about to say time signature and then backpedal. Like I felt it. Like I knew exactly. Like
that is a part of it too.
But by the way, just before I actually try to add on to that, I was thinking that maybe you just make like a Cubano, like the espresso with just sugar in it. That's I don't know if you can do that in this. But yeah, no, so yeah, math rock is like, it's okay. Think of it this way. It's like indie rock mixed with jazz, mixed with just weird creative stuff. Like it's called math rock because it has like a bunch of varying time signatures. Like thinking of how the songs fit together is like calculus is the whole joke. So math rock, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a tongue-in-cheek thing. It just means sort of like jazzy, like angular, or just like a little bit like less conventional styles. Usually almost always written by and played by music nerds. Although it's interesting because like, okay, so for example, like a lot of math rock bands, like even a band like Covet or Polyphia, right? That's a really good example. They're huge. Even bands like that have like a pretty decent following or whatever, I would say like a lot of the musicians for those bands are like pretty much what you would get, what a modern day big composer would be like to me, you know? And in terms of like musical knowledge, I think a lot of those bands have that level of virtuosity that a lot of like classically oriented musicians have. It's just that they choose to apply it in a different way. So that's it. That being said, I think that like music that's like, let's say again, talent is not like a scale. It's not like something that you could necessarily quantify or even qualify really. But if you have two equally talented musicians and like one's composing classical, the other's composing math rock, right? Let's say they both have the same level of, I don't know, intricacy, even though that's another arbitrary thing. But let's just for the sake of conversation, let's say they did, I
Rating
think
is
more people would.
arbitrary.
You're right. Yeah. I think more people would flock to something like math rock because it sounds more modern, right? Sounds
Right.
less like what you would think of as classical music. So when I was saying it's musical nerd shit, I just mean that like in a, I guess in a productive standpoint or like in a behind the scenes sort of way. Not necessarily. It's made for musical nerds by musical nerds. That's not what I mean. It just means like people who write it are often like nerdy. I don't know. That's the best description I have.
That works out for me.
It was long in the tooth, but I was trying to get all aspects. I don't know.
Yeah. So I think we'll take like one more question / me discussion, and then we'll wind it down here. So if you guys have a question, go for it. If chat has a question, go for it. If not, enjoy the music.
It is a banger.
The soundtrack in
banger.
this is so good. I strongly recommend it.
Actually, I got a question for both of you. I'll start with Golden. Golden, I know you posted something a little while back, but like, how often do you compose or write music? And
Oh boy.
is it as often as you would like? If so, why not? Etc.
Me and my old high school, one of my old high school buddies had a stint back in like university, or like early university, where we started actually composing stuff. So all that stuff that I posted to my channel, all those old little beats, which got a lot more viewership than I had ever intended to, and it shocks me still to this day, is stuff that I really made freshman, sophomore year of university. And do I still compose? No, I pretty much stopped after junior year and stuff like that. I have re-gotten my tools like FL Studio to get it. Would I like to do it more? Absolutely. I have done music. I was a musician for 14 years, pretty much just doing concert musician, marching band, college, university, pep bands and stuff like that. So I have somewhat of a music background. I don't have like a music degree or anything, but I have enough to, hold a conversation to. And I'm always thinking of stuff in my head of like original songs and stuff like that. And so if I had an extra 4 or 5 hours of the day just dedicated to that, I would absolutely love to go back and try and create beats again and just get better at that skill, because the tools are very overwhelming, so if I could get better at the tool, I would love to give people some more golden music.
Why don't you write something for Cerulean Skies?
There's the real goal.
There's the goal, huh? We'll see.
Yeah, I'm trying to
I have been
exploit
toying. I have been toying though recently with the idea of creating something.
I don't know if anyone realizes this. I think people are slowly starting to realize it, but my end game for Cerulean Skies, and actually not mine, but our end game, is to prostitute talents and take advantage of them. So, just let you full disclosure.
Just
So it
like
was
any
the
content
MLM
creator
scheme.
partnership.
It was MLM, baby. I fooled you this whole time.
Partnership is real. Oh!
Well, what about you, Rio? Because I know that you have a bit of a musical background also. Do you write or compose or whatever?
No. So you say I have a musical background. Again, I will stress. So when I was younger, I did violin for a very short time and oboe for about 2 years. And that's all the musical instruments I did. In fact, I was so bad at violin that the teacher wrote a note back to my parents asking to let me quit.
Oh my
Let
goodness.
you quit? Damn.
Yes, I also was very apparent that I had wanted to do it, and then I started doing it, and I was like, no, I don't want to do it anymore. And I think the teacher recognized that as well. But I find it funnier to just go with the fact that she did write a note asking my parents to let me quit.
Hey, I have zero. I got kicked out of music class because I couldn't pay attention and I hated it, and I couldn't stand music. Because all I knew was like the music education that you get taught in school, like the really basic music education and like church, and that was it. And I thought like church music was like sonically interesting because it reminded me of video games. But like, you know, like the epic sweeping shit, whatever, I don't know, like cinematic quality, I don't know. Not that church music is cinematic, but I think you get what I'm putting down. But yeah, I hated music in an academic sense. It wasn't until I like found Blink 182 that I was like, oh, there's like, I like this. So it's like, yeah, I don't know. I don't think music is really one of those things where you have to learn a certain way or like in a certain type. And I think people get caught up a lot with that with like writing stuff. And it's like, even if you don't really know how to make music, even if you like music, if you are passionate about music, I think you should at least give it a try, even if it sounds like shit. Like, even if you're messing up, it's like your old videos, right, Rio? Like, I mean, you know, it's like, not that I've seen them. I don't know how good or bad they are. I'm sure they're
I meant,
they're
if you
much
ever
better.
saw my Trails in the Sky video, that's one of the old ones.
Oh, that one's good, bro. Like, that's, you know, like, but you know, it's the same kind of process, right? Like, you know, even if no one's gonna start. Well, actually, people do magically start. That's why there's such a, you know, like prodigies and all that stuff. But like, for the most part, you know, you don't get good until you keep doing it, and it's like you're not gonna know that you like doing it until you do it. And I think a lot of people are probably a lot better at being creatively minded than they think because of whatever way that they were taught or whatever personal experience they have. Like, I think like we put creativity on a pedestal too much in this time in this country.
We do. It's a very odd thing where it's like we want people to express themselves, but then we don't, but then we do, and then it's a weird balance.
Yeah. So yeah, violin bounced off me, and oboe, I stuck with it for 2 years, but it never really caught me the same way. It also doesn't help that I don't know how familiar y'all are with the oboe, but it is an absolutely beautiful instrument.
Oh yeah.
In the hands of someone who can actually play. In
Also,
the hands of a child who is learning, it is.
Oh, dude. Well, any
rough.
double reed is gonna sound awful. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
any instrument sounds awful, like when you don't know how to play it. But like double reeds and like bassy instruments too. Oh God, man, that's like.
Yeah,
Yeah, I get it. I
my
get the
brother was
experience.
not a fan of those years living right next to me. Yeah, so that was it for me for instruments for a long time until college hit, and then I had a friend who was in an a cappella group at college, and she was specifically looking for people with deeper voices, specifically tenors they needed. And when she brought it up at a dinner there, everyone else said no very quickly, and I hesitated. And kudos to her, she seized on that hesitation and really kept at it and just encouraging me to give it a try. And I am not formally trained in any way, but I did think then, and I think now, that I have a good singing voice, and that's partially because I've spent a lot of time just singing along to things. You were talking about practice, that's how I practiced singing.
Oh yeah.
And in the process of doing that, not only do I think I got to a pretty good level with singing, I developed a really big range. So when I ended up auditioning and getting into the a cappella group, I became somewhat of a Swiss Army knife singer for that. Sure, I was mostly in tenor, but I also sang bass, and I also sang alto on occasion.
Wow.
Jeez.
That's impressive.
Because I had the range. And sure, it was sometimes a little rough, and they had to coach me through it because there are certain fundamentals that I never learned of singing there. But it was a fantastic experience, and I'm really glad that I took that chance and that my friend was so encouraging and helpful for getting me there, because I just really like to sing. That's part of my music choice when it comes to what I want to listen to, because I want to listen to songs that I can sing along to. And that's why pop and classic rock definitely fits for me. But because I don't have any of the basics of music anymore, I have never really looked into songwriting in there. I enjoy performing, but it does need to be off of something that someone else sang first.
Dude, it's like I can't sing for shit, at least like not on a like technical level. But it doesn't stop me from trying. And I just like I feel I never like was guided enough with it, and like not like by somebody else necessarily, but like even by myself, like. And so it's just like 33 years of bad habits. It's hard to break. Part of me wants to like actually like learn and like on a like a and actually develop like technique and discipline for that, but I don't know. There's too much insecurity there, and I have to get over that.
That is the thing. I find with singing in particular, and generally music, is that a lot of art you can practice pretty quietly on your own. You can draw and not necessarily feel like people are judging you going around and doing that. Drawing, painting, writing, all of that stuff. At some point, if you want to proceed, you are going to need to actually put yourself out there on those. But it's not as evident as music, because when you go around singing, unless you're really selective about where you're doing it, people are going to hear. And I think that self-consciousness prevents some people from giving it a try. And that's a shame, because art and creativity in that is not just good because people are really good at it and it can be really impressive, but it's good because it helps us feel good. So I always encourage people to sing even if they're not particularly good at it, because it's a fun thing to do. It's fun to dance even though you can't really do the moves all that well. But that self-consciousness, that barrier is very difficult to overcome, especially for music, I find.
Yeah, and my family is very like they're like all. I have like two of my aunts and one of my uncles are like pretty well known Assyrian singers. Like they literally travel the world. Like they even went to Seth's Spiderland. They go there like once a year to perform in concert and stuff. And so it's like my whole family just like they'll just sing, and it's like, holy shit, you are so good. And even like nasally Midwest emo is hard for me to hold. So it's just one of those things, man. I try, but I only go so far.
Yeah, and that's definitely a thing. In high school, I had a friend who was in the a cappella group in high school who had perfect pitch and also had synesthesia.
Oh,
So the crossed nerves there.
Yeah.
And so she could see the colors of singing in there, and that helped with the perfect pitch. But it also meant that she was a little particular on who could sing in her presence.
I
Too
imagine
much
so.
purple.
I imagine so. Too much purple.
And thank you, Solstice. My voice does matter. Thank you.
All our voices matter. But alrighty. I've been staring at this title screen for quite a while.
Sorry, I noticed it. I was
No, it's all
It-
good.
it is
it's
very
all good.
nice
You guys were
music.
going. I'm not gonna stop any discussions and stuff like that. So ends the first coffee talk of hopefully many. I had a ton of fun with this today, and I actually hope to bring this back to Cerulean Skies. And maybe even we'll have some other guests too, so we can hear, different people and, their takes on life and stuff like that as well. I'd love to make this a recurring series here on Cerulean
Golden's
Skies.
kicking us out.
I love this concept too. I like the concept of doing it with somebody new each week. Like it would keep it. Like you're the constant. Like this is Golden's variety hour, right? In a way.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
that'd be really cool. I don't know.
But for a first timer, Rio, Joey, it has been an absolute pleasure having you guys along for the first coffee talk
Yeah,
here at Cerulean
thank you.
Skies.
Thank you, man. Hell yeah.
Now I'm gonna get my new book out and start on that before bed.
What book is it? You can't just leave us hanging.
Yeah, The Merciless Ones by Nermina Forma. What's her last name? I don't remember exactly. It's the sequel to a book called The Gilded Ones. There.
Oh.
Ooh,
I
definitely
think
post
Kelly
that
may
title
have
in the
read that.
Discord so we can. I'll definitely have to look that up.
Yeah, I can certainly send a link over to it.
Sick.
But hey, we're not done here yet at Cerulean Skies. In about an hour, Yahiko will be going live with East 9, where some of us will also be there to join him on that for our late night East 9 session. And after that, for those who are still awake and cannot get enough Cerulean Skies, Jack will be back for some more horror time. I believe that's starting somewhere around at like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning Eastern Standard Time, I think. Ish.
Yeah, something around there. We call it nightmare hours because I guess he just streams whatever, and that's just the nightmare, and I love it. I love it. It's a waking nightmare.
Yep. So, as always, thanks everyone for joining us here on Coffee Talk. Hope to see you guys next time, and hope to see you on the next stuff of Cerulean Skies with East 9 and Nightmare Hours. So have a wonderful rest of the night and or day wherever you are in the world, and bye-bye.